Hey, this is Brian with Smarter Networker. Thanks for joining us. We've been getting a lot of questions and comments over on the Project 1000 Facebook group about the use of leads in Danny's 3-meeting plan system or in home presentations, and are they compatible? Can you go back and forth between the two things and all that kind of stuff? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to give you sort of a basic overview of a couple of different kinds of home-based businesses. These both fall into the category of home-based business, but they're done very differently, and so you kind of have to make a decision which direction you're going to go. They both have advantages and disadvantages, but they're somewhat compatible in some ways, but it's not something that's going to be easy to go from one to the other and back and forth. You're actually going to be wasting time and money trying to make people do that. And so you're probably going to have more success if you stick with one system versus the other and just work that system the way it's designed to be done. So let's talk about those two systems. First of all, we're going to call one of the systems leads-based, meaning that you're actually going to purchase leads from a lead source of some kind. Of course, Danny recommends EarnPro leads. There are other sources out there as well. But basically what you're going to get is a name and a phone number and possibly a state or a city, a little bit of information about them maybe, and you're going to pay some amount of money for those. And some of them are very inexpensive, some of them are very expensive. It just depends on the quality of that person, how they were brought in to become, how they were created as a lead, and how old they are, things like that. So that's one way, and those are what we call leads. And the difference about leads from anything else is they may not be local to you. This is going to be a much more remote type business building method. You're going to be using things like online videos, conference calls, webinars, Google Hangouts, Skype, picking up your phone, whatever it is, but you may not actually meet that person face-to-face ever in your business, although you might, but it's not necessarily going to happen. And then what we're going to call more of a local type of business is something like a home presentation, a party plan style business. Maybe you're meeting with people at a coffee shop or at the park or something like that. So it's going to be much more local, much more intimate. You're actually going to see people, look them in the face, talk to them personally. They're probably people that you know already, and it's going to be much more of a personal business in a sense. So that's the two basic styles of businesses we're going to be talking about today. Now, I don't personally believe that they're totally compatible. Now, there might be people out there that disagree with me, but to try to convert somebody from a leads-based, from a lead, and to bring them through an online semi-automated process, and then later ask them to host a home presentation is going to be difficult because they went through an online system to get into the business. They went through watching a video or two or three. They went through a couple of conference calls. They heard testimonials from other people on the phone or on a webinar or something like that. And so their impression of what the business is what they've experienced. So to then take them and say, hey, let's talk to your warm market and have a home presentation is going to be a little bit more difficult transition. Not impossible, but not the way they were brought into the business. They're going to be much more likely to say, hey, where do I get my leads? How do I set up my video presentations? And the attractiveness to that is there's not a lot of skill required in doing presentations and that kind of thing. And so sometimes the leads are attractive because it's just like putting a lot of people into a system and allowing that system to work for you. Okay. Now, a local-based business is going to be a little different in that you're going to be talking to people that you know and doing different styles of presentations. And that's going to be again, when people come in through that system, they understand that that's what the business is, and so they're going to say yes or no to your business based on what they experience, how much fun they have, how entertaining it was, how a lot of times the benefit of that style of business, a more local business, is the social aspect in the sense that you have friends and you're hanging out and it's fun, everybody's kind of relaxed. It's a fun environment to be part of. So let's talk a little bit about the similarities of what the businesses are, and then we'll talk about some of the differences. So the similarities is everybody starts off with some sort of a list of resources. Now again, if you're buying leads, you're buying your list of resources. You're basically saying, okay, I'm going to spend $100 a month or whatever the number is to buy a certain number of people to call that month. Now, if you're using it more of a local business, you're actually going to be writing down people that you know and that you are in contact with. Now, you can, of course, do that on this side as well. It'd be smart to do that. But this list of resources is going to be more people that you know or people that you meet. You might be handing out Danny Johnson's The One Thing Stopping You CD, which I've got a stack of them right here. Boom, like something like this. And these are great ways to, build your list of resources. You might be, using something that's in the script book here. In the back of the script book, there's a whole memory jogger about how to, let's see if I can find that page real quick. And there we go. So, here we go. So the memory jogger is going to give you a whole bunch of ideas on people that you could put into your list of resources. So the differences here are how you build your list of resources is one of the difference between these things. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to invite those people on your list of resources to take a look at the information that you have to share with them. Now this is basically the same process. Now the scripts that we have that Danny has put together are slightly different. So the scripts that you're going to use for a lead that you don't know personally is going to be slightly different than someone who is what we call warm market. So there's scripts for both of those things in these books. You really need both books. Check out the script book bundle that we have for you on Smarter Networker. Great package there. But there's going to be, in fact, there's like 70 scripts in here, many of which are for inviting people to take a look at some information. Now, the information is the next step. You're going to take them down to some information, and that is going to be presented in a very different way. So in each system, so in a leads-based system or a more remote-based system, you'll probably be using an online video, some sort of a conference call, a webinar, something like that, some sort of presentation that they can just kind of look at and watch and listen to and get some information. Sometimes these are 7 minutes long, sometimes they're 30 minutes long, sometimes it's broken up into a couple pieces, but basically in a leads-based system, this is going to be somewhat automated, most likely. Now in a local system, you're definitely going to be doing this in more of a live format. And there's a couple ways you can do this. Inviting people to take a look at by coming over to a home presentation where an actual human does a presentation for the group that's there. You might be pressing play on a video in that home and allowing a professional presenter to do a video presentation. The one way to get a lot of good information out quickly and easily and consistently. Or you might be sitting down at a coffee shop and actually putting, writing on a napkin how the business works and all, all the things that are going on. So there's some people that use flip charts or they use a little slide deck on an iPad, but it's more of a personal presentation. But basically you're sharing some information with them. Now the next step is going to be taking them over and handling any objections that they might be having. So now you're handling those objections. Now they will have objections in most cases, and the differences here are that the leads they don't trust you yet. They don't know you. They don't really trust you yet. They might respect you if you've been edified properly. They might respect you if you have done a good job using the scripts properly. But they don't have a lot of trust. So this is really basically building trust. It's a time to build trust. If that person starts to trust you, they're much more likely to say, okay, let me take it to the next step. The great thing about a local-based business is most likely you already have their trust. And because you know them personally and they're willing to take a look at your information, there's some trust there already. Now you're handling objections based on their fears or maybe respect that you don't have because they've seen you, at a party with a lampshade on your head. Maybe there's not a lot of respect there. So handling the objections is slightly different, but basically that's always the next step in everybody's business. The next thing you're going to take them to is what we call the close, of course. And again, this can be done differently in each system, but bottom line is you're going to take them over to the close. Tons of scripts in the script books for that as well. So there's some good stuff going on in the script books to help you close, whether it's a cold lead or someone you know personally. Those are different types of closes most likely, and Danny's just done an awesome job at writing those scripts out for both styles of contact that you might have. And then the last step is really on-the-job training, OJT. Now this is where maybe you're doing a 3-meeting plan in a local presentation, or maybe you're taking them into some sort of a leads prospecting closing kind of class that your one of your directors, your business leaders does, something like that. So the on-the-job training is going to be a little different, and then they're going to then start off with their list of resources, whether it's, again, local people, the people that they know, or they're going to start purchasing their list of resources. Some companies have you start off with the people you know and then transition into the leads-based. And we'll talk more about that in another video about the 3-meeting plan specifically, but this is just a great way to kind of look at the overview. Now the difference here, if you think about it, everything below this line here in this box is handled in a local presentation. That's going to be handled all in one meeting. So basically what happens is they come to a home presentation or sit down with you at a coffee shop, whatever. They're going to take a look at that information. You're going to handle their objections right there on the spot, and then you're going to ask them for a decision right there on the spot. So it's a little more efficient in some ways because you've got all this stuff happening in one presentation, one meeting, while they're fresh, everything's fresh, they've just seen the information. You're not having to call people back like you would with a leads-based. Now a leads-based system, of course, this part of it's basically the same in both models, but down here you're sending them to a video, maybe 2 videos. There's going to be a follow-up call in between each one of those. Then you're handling objections. There's lots of ways to do that, either by providing more information to that person or by sending them off to a three-way call with a top leader, something like that. And then you're going to take them up to a close, which could be another phone call. It could be sort of all of this could be in one thing, but it's going to be a little bit more of more steps in that process, if you will. And then eventually they'll get up to the on-the-job training segment of that. So yes, there is some ways to kind of intermingle these two things, but most of the time you need to decide which system you're going to use just so it's smooth. You're not having to deal with that transition from one style of business to another. I don't think that's really duplicatable, and most businesses that I've seen where people have really built them big to many millions of dollars, it's been one or the other, not a combination of two things. Now there might be one group that does it with this system and another group that does it with this system, but each group is generally going to be doing it in the same way throughout the whole organization. So next video, we're going to be talking more about the 3-meeting plan that Danny did and that she taught me to do, that I use to build my business. And then we'll also in the future be having some experts that are experts in leads-based businesses, things like party plan style, which is slightly different than the 3-meeting plan style that Danny did, things like that. So we'll have a few other experts on that can share their experiences in other styles of businesses as well. So I hope this helps.